This is your host, Dub FFG, with the Fantasy Football GOAT Strategies. Thank you for tuning in. We're here for you for your daily fantasy, your prize picks, DraftKings, FanDuel, or just your regular old fantasy football league. Thank you for stopping by. So we're talking about Week 10, the must-start hot reads. Let's get to it. First up, we're going to look at Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles have a big matchup with the Dallas Cowboys, at least when it comes to divisional rankings. On paper, this should be an easy matchup for the Eagles, but don't be surprised if this becomes a real tight game. Cooper Rush is no slouch when it comes to filling in as a backup, but from a fantasy standpoint, Jalen Hurts should have a great fantasy day. The Cowboys are horrible versus quarterbacks. This is a road game for Hurts, but it should be a big game for him as well. Expect him to account for at least 2 touchdowns and maybe some good yardage as well. Jalen Hurts, put him in the game. Next up, we're going across the pond as Malik Nabers and the Giants take on the Panthers. They're traveling to Germany. It's a Sunday AM game, and the Panthers are still at the bottom of the league when it comes to just being an overall team, wins and losses. And Malik Nabers is very consistent with his fantasy numbers, so expect another big game from him. Malik Nabers, put him in the game. Here's a word from our sponsors. Pick up your favorite team's gear from NFL Shop by Fanatics. Use the GOAT Strategies link below to save on your purchase. Next up, we're going to go to the Monday night game with Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are traveling to LA, and they're facing the 22nd ranked defense versus quarterbacks. This is a get-right game for the Dolphins. They flirted with it a little bit last week. They actually should have won the game versus the Bills, but they're going to pull this one off. And Tua Tagovailoa, he's going to have those big-time numbers again. Look for Hill, look for Waddle to make some scores, and even the running backs. Tua Tagovailoa, put him in the game. Next up, we're looking at that fantasy gem, Saquon Barkley. Now, Saquon is on a road game with the Cowboys. Like Hurts, he should also have a big game. The Cowboys are 30th versus running backs, so he's still in that leapfrog mode. But again, this game could be closer than expected. But Saquon, he's going to get his numbers. He's currently definitely in the top 10 when it comes to fantasy running backs. He's going to continue with that standing this week. Saquon Barkley, put him in the game. Next up, we're looking at Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is at home versus the Bills, and the Bills are 31st versus running backs. This is a great game for him to get back on track. His numbers have been consistent thus far this year. However, last week he did score less than 10 points. This week, that won't happen. Jonathan Taylor will be on track. He would have some big fantasy numbers, so definitely make sure you put him in the game more or less over the stat count. Jonathan Taylor, put him in the game. And this is week 10. We're definitely getting closer and closer to the fantasy football playoffs. Are you ready? Is your team ready? There's a lot of parity going on, and also, as you know, a lot of injuries. So that creates a lot of parity. But you should be stable enough to make your run. The top players listed for this week, yeah, they're going to help you out. But again, make sure your core is where it is. Don't get cute, stay the course, and you should be on your way to the fantasy football playoffs. All you need to do is get in. Don't worry about the ranking. Till next time, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you soon.